You're now watching Haunt Talk with your host Scott from Exploring Attractions and Rob from The Howling Hour, home for all things scary and spooky related.
Welcome back to Haunt Talk, everybody. My name is Scott from Exploring Attractions.
And I am Rob from The Howling Hour.
And today we have a brand new guest on. Our guest today has been acting at two of the major haunt events in California, both Knott's Scary Farm and Halloween Horror Nights, and has even been featured in one of the most popular Amazon Prime series, Fallout. Welcome to the show, Vladonna Rose. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, you are. Oh my gosh,
perfect.
First try and everything.
That's
Hi,
right,
everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be doing this. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and let's do this, y'all.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Excited.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. You have such a interesting role in the haunt space and in Hollywood, essentially, which is really cool.
I've done it all. She's been around.
That's right. And getting your name out there. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So, like I talk about, Fallout, because that is obviously one of your more recent projects that is least aired out there. What was the process like for that? Well, how'd you get into it?
It was crazy. It was insane. So, I'm a showgirl out there in the world, and I had just got a casting notice from like a mutual friend, and she sent it on over, and with all the like Hollywood stuff, it's like
right.
it's very like just top secret and like nondescript. So literally all that it said in the listing was that they were looking for showgirls. And I was like, okay. And I submitted for it, and I just like totally forgot about it. Like I just like submitted for it and then just like went on my merry way. And it was so funny because when I got an email back for it, I was like in my friend's car, and we were like talking about like the power of like manifestation and like your dreams coming true and all of that. And I get an email out of nowhere just saying, hey, we would like for you to come on down to this like non-disclosed area, and we would like for you to do a fitting. And at this point, I still didn't know that it was Fallout, but I'm a working girl, so I was like, hey, another paycheck.
Got a Hollywood role. We don't know how big the Hollywood role is, but we'll see.
I had no idea what it was. Like, I was like, I could not have told you at the time. But so I go to this fitting in like the middle of nowhere. And I should also mention too that like, I didn't know that Fallout was a series. Like I knew about Fallout, but I knew it as the video game, and I just of like I grew up with like 4 uncles, so I was just like, oh yeah, it's that thing where like guys get together and like scream at the screen together. Like I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, had no idea like what it was. Yeah. I was just like, I had no idea what it was. So yeah, I went down there, and I walk into the room, and they put me in this like, the showgirl thing that I was wearing actually on the series. And I'm standing there, and there's all these little like things running around in blue suits. And I was just kind of like, what's going on? Like, I just had I was like, maybe it's like a superhero movie or like, whatever. And it's like, I'm standing there, and what I'm in. So I was just like trying to like connect the dots. And I was just like,
I'm sure it was a kind of a weird thing. Cause yeah, you're as a showgirl in this undisclosed series. And then you have a bunch of like blue CGI suits running around, and you're like, wait, how do I fit into this?
Well, it wasn't CGI suits. It was vault. It was the vault suits.
Oh, yes. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was like the blue vault suits. So I'm like standing there looking like a hooker, and then I'm like looking around, and I'm just like, what is
like, am I actually in the right place?
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm just like looking around, and yeah, like the dresser that was like helping us like fit things to us, she started like speaking in like tongue to us, and she was just like, if you're like really into video games, you'll get it. But like, if not, then like, you'll probably have no idea what it is. And I was like, what? Like video games. So like me and then the other showgirl that you see with me in the series, we were both there together. And we were just like, like, okay, showgirl, video games. Like, I was like, what the heck? And then, so I went on Google, like after I had gotten out of the fitting, and I was like, blue suits, new series, video game. Like, that's like literally what I like put in the browser.
Yeah.
And then it popped up and I was like, oh my gosh, Fallout, like, holy crap. And so, yeah, I watched the whole series. Like, I got to watch the whole like first season before I had gone and like filmed everything. And then, yeah, filming day was just like magical, like it was just so like you walk in and you get your hair done. And like, the girl that did my hair actually did the hair for all of the Who's in Whoville for the actual movie.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, I totally forgot her name. She was like this older woman, and like I walk in and like it was really quiet, and she was just like, I forgot what she said, but she was just really like old Hollywood, she was just like,
she knows everybody. Everybody knows her.
She was like, you want to know what I've done and this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, sure. And so, she just told me all those stories, and it was just really cool. And then, we had lunch, which they fed me well. It was like a buffet. There was like sushi and like crumpets and pastries, and it was everything. It was everything. Of course, I couldn't eat that much because I was trying to like still fit in my costume, but it was really good.
Right.
Was there like any memorable moments that you had with like the main cast, or just any memorable moments at all?
Yes. So Walton Goggins almost killed me on set, actually.
Nice. If there was a way to go out, then I'd be the way to go out.
Yeah, that's the way to go, right?
Right. I was like, if anybody's going to take me out of this world, it would be him. Like I'm on the actual set that you see me in, and it's, it's amazing, beautiful, bright, colorful Hollywood set. It was so pretty. And, we were standing there and we're like waiting for places. And mind you, like, this was the first time I've ever been on like a professional, like movie set, So
Okay.
I didn't know a lot of the lingo. They don't even say action when they like do, like when it's rolling. So it's like, if I didn't have my other showgirl there who she had, she was a pro, she's been in the industry for a while. I wouldn't have known even when they were like rolling, so she was like teaching me all these terms and teaching me like, okay, when they say this, like you go and you do your thing, and when, cut and holding and all of that, all these like terms. And I was like, okay, this is like a lot to take in, but whatever, let's do this. And so, the scene is that I walk down the street and I walk down the street and smoke a cigarette. And I was like, I was like, oh, I'm going to be really sassy with it. Like I'm going to steal the scene and, all of that. Right. And then the director literally comes up to us and is like, don't do too much, or else like you might actually get kicked off of the set. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So I was like, okay. And then like I made a joke with my other showgirl, and we were just kind of imitating like if I did it really, sassy. And I just, I have a really distinct laugh. And so I was just like cackling. And, the scene is that we pass each other. And so he was in holding right there, and he looked over at me, and I'll just like never forget that look. Like it was wild. It was crazy. But, in his defense, I did look better than him in the scene. And also like, if I had some like 20-something-year-old like running around my set, like, just cackling about, I probably would have looked like I wanted to kill somebody too. So
Right.
At least you got a look. At least it was some look.
I don't remember that look for the rest of my life. It was beautiful. It was amazing. But yeah.
No, that's just so cool. And that's awesome that you had, your partner there to kind of like show you the ropes. But I mean, as someone who's never been on that type of set, was it like your mindset? Obviously, you kind of like, I'm assuming you're being a professional and everything. You're jumping right into the role. But was it like a little overwhelming, or did it at first, or was it you just kind of like, did it flow right to you and you just kind of went with it?
It felt correct, like
Okay.
it felt correct. Like, doing movies and being a part of cinema and doing all of that honestly has always been my dream. I started off as a model. I was like a high fashion model, which is like a totally different world from movies and theme parks and live performance and all of that.
Right.
But there's a lot of the same elements. And so, I remember when I got on set, there was certain things that were surprising. And then there were certain things that I was like, oh, like just another day at work. But yeah, it just felt correct. It just felt like all of my dreams were coming true in that moment. And I had just like worked so hard to like do something movie related. And yeah, it was just all really, really exciting. And I think when my kind of approach to like professional environments is like, I feel like people are always really just like serious and just like, whatever. And obviously we're there to do a job, so like, still obviously get the job done, but I love to see the silly and goofy side of things, like I feel like when you show up 100% yourself and you're kind of the first one to like laugh at yourself, it gives people permission and the comfortability to also do that and just realize that like, we're making art, like we're artists, and at the end of the day, like the beautiful thing about art is it's subjective. And some people would say that, it's this super serious thing and that's a part of my process. And other people would just say, hey, like go up there, have fun and just have fun with it. And I think that's ultimately what this job is about. We're here to take people to different places other than their own lives and and take people into these places of fantasy, so it's like it's really about finding your own fantasy. And I feel like bringing that to every project that you do.
Yeah, I mean, because you want to feel like when you're watching something or you're consuming something or you're watching like a live show, you want to feel like, the people acting it or participating in it are very much in this world that they're trying to make you feel like you're living in too. That's the most impactful thing. That's show business, I mean,
that's
in
showbiz, baby. Hey,
that's right. I mean, that's what you want to feel like when you watch these really impactful, emotional movies. The whole purpose of the movie is to make you feel emotion. It's the same thing with live entertainment, and that's what makes a successful story. And if people who are working together and working on it aren't also having that fun and having that same feeling, then like, what's the point of doing it,
Clock it.
That's
very
right.
much so.
It's really cool that you've had like all this big portfolio now. Like you obviously got your big Hollywood thing done. The future's bright for you. And now you've been doing live entertainment. You've obviously been doing modeling. You've done burlesque. Like you are doing a lot of different forms of entertainment. And one that is, I mean, similar but like a whole different spectrum is scare acting. Like. It like you're modeling, you're doing all the showgirl stuff, and then now you are becoming this thing that people are supposed to be afraid of.
Yeah, which comes easier to some people, but I mean, scare acting is just such a different like skill set from literally anything that I've done. And this past year was actually my first year going into it, and there had been a couple of times where I had been extended offers or, was thinking about it and was like, I don't know. But funny enough, I was always that kid that like hated scary things. I was not a horror fanatic growing up.
The streak continues, Rob. The streak continues.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like every guest that we've had on is like, yeah, we didn't really like horror growing up.
Yeah, I was scared.
Yeah. I like wouldn't go on roller coasters. Like I did not like like my parents would have to like drag me onto the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Like it was just like so not my thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I guess my first kind of exposure to it was Knott's Berry Farm. Um, I was, this was long before entertainment. Actually, I think what a lot of people don't know is Knott's Berry Farm was my first job. So back when I was modeling and like, really just trying to get my gigs and, where I thought my life was going to take me where, with high fashion and, being a super serious model and going to modeling agencies and, doing that, taking that route. I took a part-time job at Knott's Berry Farm. And so I would literally go, it was the weirdest thing. Like I would go from like being so pampered and so, makeup done and wearing couture and all of this stuff to I would go and I was working food service. And so I was sweeping up fries and chicken nuggets and dealing with screaming kids at like 9 in the
Name
morning.
of the game.
Nice.
Gotta make a living to do your passion.
What happened?
I said, gotta make a living to also do your passion.
No, yeah, I was, rent was due, so
Yeah.
I needed to get it together. But yeah, I did that, and yeah, I was in the restaurant in Camp Snoopy. I can't think of what that restaurant's called. What is it called?
At least you're indoors too. It's like the lodge or something.
Oh, but we were in the kitchen though. And
where it's
no
like
air conditioning.
So freaking
Oh,
hot.
with all the fire and everything. Yeah.
It was,
I've done my
Yeah.
fair share of food service, and I do not regret leaving that place.
yeah, no. Imagine this, like making your burger, honey. Like no, like that was
Sweeping
not,
up fries in the back.
That's not me. But yeah, so I was living that life, and I would go to the little patio area, and this was back when they had the stage in Camp Snoopy, and I would always see all the performers performing and everything. And so then I would go out there and I would I would be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sweep up the patio, and then I'd go and like sweep it up and like watch the show and just be like, oh, like someday I'll be in entertainment and I'll maybe be in a Snoopy show or something or whatever. It'll be great. But yeah, and then I guess I kind of took the long way around where it was really wild. Like, so I had just done the biggest thing that I had ever done in modeling, which was like, it was a really super high fashion, like campaign for a really high fashion brand. And then literally like, I think it was a week later, like a month later, it was the pandemic. So then like quit Knott's, like was not, yeah, I mean, we were, in pandemic mode. So I was just kind of like writing that out. And then, yeah, the, pandemic moved forward and things started opening up again and things started, coming back. And so that's when I decided to, throw my hat in the ring for Knott's Berry Farm. And yeah, that was my first entertainment job that I had ever had. And, it taught me so much. And I'm so glad that, I got to do it. And I actually started off in the daytime. I was doing daytime entertainment. And, Scary Farm was always just being thrown around and discussed, and people get so passionate about this. And I had no idea. Like, I didn't know how big this thing was. I didn't know, that there was a community and people who just like cared so deeply about this event. But I guess my real first exposure to like haunt and like horror was Elvira. Like, I love that woman.
Okay.
Love everything that she's done.
And
she
who doesn't? Just an absolute icon.
Yeah, just as an actor.
Yeah, right.
Like it just touched so many like parts of like my story and like my history. Like, I don't know if you guys like know like her backstory and everything, but she was super young when she became a showgirl, and she had done like films in like Italy and done this and done that, and like had a full life before she ever even became Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and so yeah, she really opened that gateway to me for horror and being interested in it. And then obviously being around around Knott's, it just, Scary Farm was always just being thrown around in the dressing rooms and everywhere.
Yeah, being exposed to it would definitely get you into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got bit by the bug, as a lot of people would say.
So you talk about Elvira kind of inspiring you, and you also have mentioned that weren't the biggest like fan of scary things. So what, when it came to Scary Farm and the bug biting you, how did like that kind of work out to where you're doing like kind of day operations and then you transition over to Scary Farm?
So I had always known that Scary Farm did these special events at Midsummer Scream. And again,
Okay.
I didn't even know what Midsummer Scream was, but I just like had seen pictures. I had seen, that they did this really cool stuff. And so I was like, that is really cool, and I'll keep my eyes out for that, when it comes around, and hopefully it does. And, we'll see what happens. And so, it started getting to that time where Midsummer Scream was going to be around. And I was like, okay, well, let me throw my name in and just, see what happens. And by some like miraculous, miracle, ring, 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 ring. Hi, this is Knott's Berry Farm Casting. We would like to extend an offer to you to go to Midsummer Scream. Would you like to go? And I was like, hell yeah. So I had no idea. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea what was going to happen. I actually turned to my best friend in the whole wide world, Becca Avinia, who goes by Haunted Film Production on Instagram.
Okay.
Follow her.
Becca's amazing.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Love her. She's my bestie for the restie. She's so talented, so sweet, so humble, like one of the most
And just
creative,
a workhorse,
talented,
too.
sweetest people that I know. Love her so much. Shout out Becca. But yeah, I actually got casted in the event with her. So I immediately turned to her and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? Like, what should I know? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, what is this? What are we going to do? And, she just really took me under her wing, and she was just like, okay, you need contacts. Like, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. And it was my first time even wearing like the contacts. There's so many.
Yeah. The color changing contacts and everything. Yeah.
And we didn't know much about it either, too. It was like, they told us that we were going to be spider queens, which we were like, okay, whatever. And so, yeah, I show up the first day. I was really excited. And, I go in, there's, a bunch of important people, and we're kind of all crammed into this little space, but we all got ready. We all got glam. And then, yeah, I go and I walk in right to Midsummer Scream. And I mean, of course you guys have been to Midsummer Scream, but like I didn't even know this event existed. I didn't even know that
you don't know the scale of it. You don't know.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know that
like,
there was like this community. Again, like didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that there was like a community of people who loved horror and haunt. And like, I mean, I obviously knew that it was out there, but I didn't know like that. Yeah, this was a thing. So I walk in and I just see like just people dressed up as their favorite horror characters and like just all these different fandoms and like creative things that are scary and bloody, but like they're cool, and it's awesome. And what I think is so funny is that like, haunters and like the haunt community, yes, it's scary, but it's like they're some of the most nicest people that like you'll ever meet, so it's like I think this like guy with like blood like coming down his head like approached me and he was just like, hey, how are you? And I was like, oh my God, so good, but yeah, I went and I got in the booth and just, I mean, I was there to win it. I was really just like focused on like doing my job and just like doing it well. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs at people and, like just, I was being that girl and yeah, it was such a magical experience. And Elvira was literally the booth right behind us. So like,
Yeah,
Nice.
super
yeah,
close.
talk
Yeah.
about like just yeah, wild things linking up. But yeah, she was like the booth behind us, and like my line went like down the street, and like Elvira was right
Yeah.
there, and it was my birthday actually too. It was my birthday on one of the days. So it was just so it was so magical and so beautiful. And I mean, I guess I'll tell like my story and like I'll extend this to, haunt actors and people who, want to get into this. But
Yeah. And I think that's like your perfect intro to the scary thing too. Like it's something like it was something like you're not necessarily scaring yet. You're just portraying like a horror role at this it's on screen,
yeah, 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 yeah.
It was awesome because I remember that photo op. I have a photo with I think it was you and Becca. There's three of you guys, but it was a really cool setup that Knott's did
Oh
that
yeah.
year. Like
Oh, it was
really cool.
amazing. It was so beautiful. It was so just like it was just mwah, chef's kiss, like the Green Witch was there, which she's very much so a
Foreshadowing.
part of my story. But yeah, it was amazing. And um it was really emotional for me that day, because a very, before Knott's and everything, I was at a major theme park somewhere in the universe. I'm not going to say which one. Um, and I auditioned for something and I made it all the way through. And this audition was like pretty hard to get, in like for people in the
Hmm.
industry who knew what I was doing. It was pretty like, wow, like I can't even believe that you got to audition for that, And so I auditioned, I made it all the way through. I was, super happy and proud of myself and just really, really, really happy. And I had a shift later that day in my home department, and so I showed up and I went into my home department and it was like, I think it was like a lead or a manager or something, got word that I auditioned for this thing. And they, let me know their thoughts of, that, hey, that's kind of cute that like you did this, but like, I don't think that that's ever going to happen for you because of who you
Mm.
are and how you look and this and that and the other thing. And not long after that, I was let go, and it was I was super young at the time too. So it was really traumatizing and crazy. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. But, to anybody out there that is like doubting themselves or like having a really, really, really hard time just figuring out if they even have a place in this, beautiful thing called
Yeah.
haunt or, the entertainment industry or being an actor or whatever, right? Um, I got this really beautiful piece of advice that I've always carried with me. And that is it is not our jobs to figure out how our dreams come true. It is our jobs to put them out into the universe and let the universe guide us. And I've
Yeah,
always been a really
absolutely.
big believer in that. And I've just honestly let every opportunity that's come my way guide me on my path. And I, never gave up on my dreams. So to anybody out
Right.
there like that who's listening, you can and you will. And
Yeah.
yeah, and going back to that day, it was just so many emotions, because it was just like to be told that I couldn't do this, and not at Knott's. It was at a totally different place. Um,
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
to be told that, and then to like be in a place that supported me and that like saw my talents and that saw, that like I
Right.
had something to give and to be respected as an
Yeah.
artist, it was such a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful day. And yeah, it's to this day, it's just like one of the best days of my life. Like it was such a beautiful day. Loved it.
And that's the universe guiding you too. Like for me, like I've always been a firm believer and like I'm super big on like following your dreams and being passionate about something. But underneath all of that, underneath me seeing it on the camera and everything, there's obviously that self doubt of like, it's going to take forever. But then you slowly start to see these little things that happen that you think are setbacks, which in reality, the universe is actually setting you up for success. And a year later, you're like, I'm not glad that that happened, but I'm glad that I was steered in that right
Yeah.
direction
Yeah.
because now I'm 10 times
Yes,
happier.
100%. Like it's like, I had a goal, and I thought I knew what that goal looked like and how it was going to feel and what it was going to look like and where it was going to be, and I didn't get to do it. And then my dreams came true in so many other ways. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, for
Right.
sure.
if an opportunity doesn't come through, like, don't worry, because so many other things will come your way, and so many other beautiful, beautiful projects are waiting for you. It's just a matter of just showing up and doing your best and giving it your all every time you're in front of the right people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and staying positive through it
Absolutely.
all, and being good to the
Yeah.
people who want to be good to you.
Absolutely.
No, I completely agree, and just like you're a testament to, not every door opened for you, but that didn't stop you. So, and that's a huge encouragement to just not even people in the acting world or the movie land. That goes kind of like it's an inspiration for all walks of life. It's just like no matter what, whatever door may be closed, that doesn't mean another one's not open. You just got to keep one step at a time and going. So that's an awesome just a positive message to put out there for people. And also something I want to bring up that was very, very cool that you kind of mentioned, being in the haunt world, we see all these things, but just from your perspective of like seeing like Midsummer Scream for the first time and just kind of being like, wow, this community is like, it's just so cool because, it's one of those things where we see it all the time. So not that we get jaded, but we don't have that like experience where it's like, oh, this is my first time and the awe of it. But to see like, you could just, even when you talked about it, like the awe that like Midsummer Scream put on you and just the opportunity, it's just like, it's so cool. Like you got to experience that and like, so happy for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this brand new thing to me, like
Yeah.
I go every year now, with my friends, and like we dress up, and to have that be my first time at this event, I mean, like, nothing can top that. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
It was
That's
so, yeah, it was beyond, beyond anything that I could ever expect or ever imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey now,
That's such a
this is
beautiful,
what dreams are made
beautiful
of.
story. It's a beautiful story, and it's an amazing one, and everybody has those walks of life where they can look back and say, "Wow, I'm so much happier now." And the fact that you were essentially like thrusted into this new community, and then like you said, the connection with Elvira right behind you, like it's awesome to have that story and to tell that story, and it's just gonna keep continuing
Yeah.
to grow.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And
And it's
and who knows, in your story, you could be the next, quote unquote Elvira.
yeah, there you go.
No, we're on our way, honey. We're on our way.
Right.
So you obviously you spent some time with Sarah Marshall, the Green Witch. You've also spent some time at Horror Nights. So you're in these roles where, like in Midsummer Scream, obviously, like you're taking photos with people, you're being creepy and playing your character. Sarah Marshall, same thing. You're kind of lurking around Not Scary Farm, taking photos with people, kind of trying to tell the story. And then you go into Horror Nights, where it's like on your feet, moving super fast all the time in Scare Zone 1. What prepared you for that, especially it being your first year ever doing something like this?
Nothing prepared me for it. I was just, again, rent was due. and yeah, I was just honestly like, so I with all of that, so this past year was my first official haunt season.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because so when I did that special event, there was an opportunity to go into a full season, but just wasn't the right time for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just really about like, you know,
Okay.
everything will come in its place at the right time and in the right place.
Sure.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't expect the season to go down how it did. As you mentioned, yes, I did spend a lot of time with my favorite runaway witch, Miss Sarah Marshall. I mean, that in itself was crazy. You know, that in itself was wild.
Yeah.
I, again, had no idea about this community. And then, yeah, I went into, you know, my first audition, and I cried. I sobbed when they offered me it. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was wild, you know.
That's a lot of lore building there too.
Right.
There's a lot of lore
You
behind
know,
that character.
yeah, I knew her as like the green lady that showed up at the Knott's booth, you know, but yeah, like dude, like I had no idea. So yeah, there was a lot of lore that I had to study on. I was also studying like real life experience at the time too. So I was studying like the women of the Salem witch trials. I was watching like every single witch or villain movie that you could possibly think of. Like, you know, there's not like a Sarah Marshall movie. So I had to just kind of like create her, but also like go off of the lore and like also
Right.
put, you know, a little bit of myself into it too, which was really nice.
Right.
I liked that they kind of allowed us to do that. And then, yeah, with the HHN, it just kind of took me again by surprise, because I wasn't really expecting it. And like, I didn't think that I was going to have time for it, because I actually did 2 haunts in one season. So I was working 2 haunts in one season. It was wild. My schedule was crazy.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who do that, and I'm like, I don't understand how you are like alive.
Like they just don't sleep.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, the great thing about these events is that they're just going on at the natural time that I'm up anyways, so that was like a plus.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, sorry, can you rephrase the question? Like,
Oh yeah, what was it like going from like these characters in like Scary Farm, where you're kind of lurking around, being creepy, telling a story, and Horror Nights, to where you're at the first Scare Zone. And Scare Zone 1's known for just being a chaotic rave horror experience.
you know, well, they're their own 2 monsters, no pun intended. And you know, they're both like really different, which is what I love about it. You know, Scary Farm, it's, you know, again, like we were talking about, it's about the lore. It's about, you know, it was the first haunt, you know, it was the first official haunt in
America's first theme park.
America's first theme park. And so,
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of old heads, you know, and there's a lot of tradition and there's a lot of, you know, things are done in a certain way. And, but, you know, in that same breath, there's also, you know, room for new talent and new things to grow and to happen. Yeah. But they're very, absolutely, you know, big on tradition at Scary Farm. And then, yeah, with HHN, yeah, like definitely very fast paced. Something's always new. Something's always changing, you know, from night 1 of the event to the end of it, you know, like a million little things changed from so many aspects. And yeah, I love them as their own separate entities, you know, of like, absolutely, I loved the chance and the opportunity to really connect with the guests and tell a story and, you know, be this devious character who is out for revenge, you know, and then to go into HHN and be able to play a multitude and a variety of roles and not be, you know, going into work and not knowing what I was going to be doing that night was so much fun. I love variety. I love doing something new every single day. And yeah, I did that, you know, and it was really, really wild.
Now, just you mentioned, speaking of like variety, you being an actress, a movie star, if you will, going from that to like at, you know, HHN and Scary Farm kind of acting. Because for me, I think one is like, you know, you have some time, you do your role, you have your lines, whereas the other one is just like kind of improv. Like did that, like, did one help the other, or was it like you kind of had to, like, no, this is a completely different thing and it's, I got to kind of do this? Like, how did that work for you?
Well, so I learned the art and really the like philosophy of acting in high school.
Okay.
Like I didn't go to some big fancy art school. I went to kind of a ghetto high school. And it's really
Same
funny
here.
because
That's
it's
okay.
like those environments I feel like birth the best artists, in my opinion. Like I love to see what comes out of those environments, and yeah, for some reason, well, not even for some reason, it was because the teacher was awesome. Shout out Mr. Martin. We love Mr. Martin.
All
Yes,
right,
Mr.
Mr.
Martin, we
Martin.
love him. But yeah, he really just taught me like the the fundamentals, of being on stage, remembering a monologue, remembering lines, literally having an audience like right there, and we weren't necessarily doing improv, but at the time, like I was doing freelance gigs outside of school too. So it was like I would literally go to school,
Okay.
learn all these things, and then go and like work a paying job, and like do literally these things that
Okay.
like I was being taught, So honestly, any kind of project that I approach, I'm just kind of like, it's just Mr. Martin's acting class, like I'm just like, whatever, like it's just theater class, like just go for it, and there's definitely, big, huge differences. Like you mentioned, like theater acting is so different from like being in movies, even too, like being in movies is
Right.
such a different thing from, and then going to like theme park and haunt acting and stuff like that, it was just really like really crazy, but I'm so glad that like I've had so much experience, not just acting, but just being on a
Mhm.
set and doing things on a set before I even got into the place of being talent or being, an actor in theme parks or,
Right.
in movies and stuff like that. I've really done it all. I started off as a model and then I got tired of that. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be a dancer. And so then I was in my dancer era and I was doing music videos and like performing in clubs and, doing that whole thing. And then I was like, you know what? I'm kind of just like uninspired about being in front of the camera anymore. And so then I turned to being a makeup artist and a stylist. And I was like, styling people and getting people ready and doing their makeup and, seeing that aspect of things. And then I picked up a film camera and, started taking portraits and doing editorials and working with like fashion people. And then, a modeling gig came up again. And so then I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm going to give this my shot. And there's something here and I do belong here. And, I went back to being in front of the camera and that has just evolved so much over time. And so, like, again, my advice to people just out there, um, try it all, do it all, do every single little thing. Because now when I step onto a set, and when anybody steps onto a set and they've kind of lived that life, it just makes you so much more well-rounded, and understanding
Yeah.
production and how to like approach things and how to, develop a character and how to like, command the stage and have presence, that takes, it is something that you're born with, but it's also something that does take honing and does take like just honestly experience and skill. And when all of those things mash up, it just makes for such a beautiful, beautiful performance. And there's just, I've seen that time and time again, especially with the people over at Scary Farm and at HHN, like
Hmm.
just the amount of commitment and um, excitement and passion that these people have. A lot of people are making their own costumes and doing their own makeup and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and putting so much time and energy and effort into like these characters that mean so much to them or the fandom or the community. And
It's all
it's
an art, like you've
yeah,
been talking about. It's all tied into one art. It's the art of the haunt, you know, and these people at Knott's and Horror Nights and all these different haunt events, they're literally thinking about their next character or whether it changes their
Yeah.
character the year before, which is
Yeah.
insane.
No, yeah, 100%. Like I said, like, yeah, doing a season and just being surrounded by amazing, amazing artists and just seeing like how much effort goes into all of it is just, it was, yeah, it was really, really impressive and really, really beautiful to see.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, especially with your background, it's definitely easy to, like you said, you build a foundation. Like for me, I've always built a foundation. I've been doing YouTube for like 8 years or whatever. It's probably been longer. But I built this.
Right, I think it's been like closer to 10
Okay,
years.
you're the 40-year-old, so I don't want to hear it. But
I accept that. I accept that.
But yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and now I no college, no anything, and now I'm in this like big time marketing role, and you know, a big boy job. But like I wouldn't like all this different strategic way of doing my job just all comes from doing YouTube because I built a foundation with YouTube. So now it's like I know how to connect with people, from connecting with theme parks and PR reps, and how to connect to partners. Like it's just it's all one foundation that you build, and then you can, I mean, if you want to, you don't have to, you know, like we're just sitting here talking about how you dipped your toes into everything, but if you want to, you can expand that foundation to tons of different things in the industry, which is such an incredible way to look at it. And I think one of the big reasons on why you have seen so much success already, you know, because you're dipping your toe in everything, and the stuff that sticks and the stuff that you're passionate about, it sticks, you know?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So what's in the cards for you next?
What's in the cards for me next? Well, let's see. I'm working on a film right now, actually, with my friend, and that should be coming out soon. I can't say too much about it, but it's funny. It's really funny and really creative, and I like what she's doing with it. It's really really cool, and I love the role that I'm about to be dipping my toes into. And then
Nice.
another thing that I can't talk about, but like I'm gonna kind of talk about it. Oh my god, is you will be seeing me back on the big screen at the end of May.
Ooh.
So keep your
There we go.
guys'
Very
eyes
soon.
peeled, and you might be
Nice.
seeing
nice.
a familiar face.
Yeah. Hopefully not getting the mean mug by Walter
Hopefully
White.
not. Yeah, hopefully not. We can only hope.
Sweaty.
Well, I mean, to wrap it up on my end, I have the most important question of this entire podcast, and it is, and I know you're a late bloomer when it comes to horror, so I will be forgiving. But do you have a favorite scary movie or a favorite like scary icon, you know, or something that in the more recent years that you've dipped into?
Oh my
it
gosh,
has,
not
like,
you
stood
hitting
out
me
to
with the
you?
what's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah, what's your favorite scary movie?
What is my favorite scary movie? I mean, like I said, you know, I guess it's
What's
not
your
like a
favorite
scary
part of the
movie,
Salem
but,
witch
like,
trials?
my favorite horror icon, I mean, is just always going to be Elvira, but
Okay.
movie wise, that's such a hard one. There's so many to pick from. Well, okay, I guess my first like gory kind, and I mean, I guess like some people would probably be like, that's still kind of like kiddie, but I mean, no, but it's not though. But it's actually not. Was the first movie? I was terrified, like scared to no end of Chucky when I was little, and so I watched The Bride of Chucky in entirety, and I love it. And I
Nice.
actually got to meet Jennifer Tilly. Actually, not.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
she was super
that's
sweet,
cool.
super.
That's
It was
cool.
super loud where we were, so we didn't get to like actually talk. But I did get a picture with her, and
Yeah.
she's very very kind lady. And so yeah, I would have to say, I guess like more on like the gory end, like Bride of Chucky. I think that's a fair answer.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
I
that
think
works.
that's
Yeah, that
gory.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think
works.
I think
Cool.
I think the Chucky
That's
series in
acceptable.
general
That's
is pretty
acceptable.
gory. To be honest, I mean, all the Chucky movies, you don't even imagine just like a little doll and the amount of damage he's able to do to
Yeah,
his
yeah, it's
victims.
wild.
So.
It's crazy. Wait, what are your guys' favorite movies?
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead, Rob.
I'm
Okay,
old, so
yeah,
Scream.
no, love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Ghostface.
Scream.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
it'll always be the Halloween series. But I'm a huge classic monsters
Oh,
fan.
love
So
the
I will always
monsters.
like
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
I got them. I got one of them tattooed on my arm, and then I have like a Frankenstein poster right in front of me right now.
Yes.
So huge
I
monsters.
love it. I love
So,
it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody ever asks us, Rob. That's always the people
Yeah,
behind.
I feel special. I feel special. But you know what? I think you were the first person to ever have Elvira as like
Yeah.
their horror.
And that is
icon.
such a big one, too.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is a huge
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I will still stand behind that picket fence of bring Elvira
Oh my
back to Scary
God.
Farm in a show.
I know.
Yes.
We can only
Yes.
hope. She,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But Vladonna, thank you for coming on. You were a treat to talk to, and it's amazing to see what you do next. And
Yes,
it's amazing to
thank
hear
you.
about everything that
yeah,
you've done.
thank you guys so much for having me on. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
Yes,
we're
be
gonna
on the lookout. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Also, I guess a quick little shout out to my glam team before we end it. Shout out to Nikki Nails for doing
Absolutely.
these beautiful
Love it.
nails. Oh my God, wait, can you see them? Can you?
Yeah,
Nikki
Yeah.
Nails.
the
she
shadows are
does
blocking it a little bit, but
Yeah,
you can
she
see
does
them.
beautiful
Stunning.
custom nails that she'll do literally any length, any style, anything, and she's amazing and awesome and beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Please go follow her. And then shout out to Meg Morales for doing this beautiful cut and color on my hair. Anyways, thank you
That
guys
looks
so
amazing.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have all her information down below in the description. So make sure to follow Vladonna, see her next journeys, and yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
We
guys
appreciate
so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
My
so
name is
much.
Scott from Exploring Attractions.
And I am Rob from the
And we've
Howling
been
Hour.
Haunt Talk. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.